It's part of our Copperhead Road Series. That was the very first game I ever held in my field back in 2012, and it's kind of progressed from redneck farmers versus law enforcement to we took it back to kind of a 1920s style speakeasy and moonshiners, and the op itself is called Blind Tiger, which I didn't know it until we started researching it, but the speakeasies, another name for a speakeasy back in the 20s, was a blind tiger. That's where the name comes from.
Starting with you, Hillbilly, tell us a little bit about your experiences there.
I played on the ATF team. I mean, it wasn't maybe 5 or 6 of us for the whole ATF. I mean, they substituted a few in for us just to give us some more people on our team. I mean, everything went well, I thought. I mean, there was one incident that Jack knows about, but we're not going to speak on that one. I got my own opinions on that, but I'll talk to Jack about that off camera. But altogether, I mean, it was my third op from Theta events, and I actually enjoyed it.
Okay, yeah, we had a good turnout. It was a little bit cold in the morning. I think kind of hurt us a little bit. He's down like mid-30s first thing in the morning when everybody's driving. But we got there, got everybody briefed up. Running the Theta dead, wounded, incapacitated rules is always a challenge to try to get explained if players have never ran that before. But these guys got a good grasp of it. I don't think. Oh, I'm sorry to hear all the nerves about it. I don't think we have a lot of problems with that. From what I heard, people come off the field. As for the game itself, I never got out of the parking lot. I was there registering people, talking to people coming off the field. We had people registering up until within an hour and a half of the game to come in and play. So it was real fun. We had 2 moms come in just to get experience to take their kids to a bigger game somewhere else. They stayed around and played with Drennon for a couple hours, and then took off to go spend some time with the kids. We lost somebody. But the game itself, everybody was happy with the game. Like, we did have one incident, but it's being addressed and should not happen in the future. We're actually coming out with a player code of conduct to prevent things like that from happening in the future. That little incident, a couple got mouthy and wound up in a bad situation, which, I mean, after 8 years of running games, for this to be the first semi-major incident, I think we're still okay as far as that goes. We're just going to get bigger and different people come and different things happen. But I think overall we dealt with it fairly well. Learned a few things in what we were doing, and are taking steps to not have it happen in the future. But as far as the game, I mean, if you have the same picture as the collective team up there in Roanoke, all of them dressed up in some really looking 70s looking suits. Some velour was out there. Some definitely polyester was out there. They had a ball. They didn't come out of character the entire day. They were the mob bosses, and you dang well better respect them, or else they're gonna send some back. Mark from House out of Knoxville, Tennessee, ran the Rednecks. Thank you, Mark, for doing that. But they done a fantastic job. Pushed everybody to do what they were supposed to do, and they had fortified their area, the Chem Lab at Roanoke, just tremendously. It was hard to crack, from what I understood. And if you just a shout out to Roanoke Airsoft, if you've not been up that way, if you've not visited them, that field is really a hidden jewel of Virginia Airsoft. It's a big field. It's got all kinds of different things on it. You got everything from a crash Cessna to a mosque to just a very hard to crack fort. Their alpha base. It's really, really cool to go play on there. And it's not really, really flat, but you don't have really no huge team parts either. And John's always expanding that, and it's just real fun to go play on Roanoke Airsoft field.
You got any questions for him, Ace?
What was the folks out of Knoxville's name? What was the airsoft
house? Their emblem is the diver down dive symbol flag. They were at Clinch. You may have seen them there.
Yeah, they were at Clinch.
But they've come in and they've grown a lot as a team. They actually run some events at a field in Tennessee. Mark's good people. I really enjoy hanging out with him. Being with Team House.
How do you guys advertise and your name out there for those different events other than just word of mouth?
Well, we talked about this before the field, but Facebook doesn't allow any type of advertising for the most part of anything to do with airsoft. Drennon has some magic formula that he'll get stuff advertised a little bit, but it's a airsoft experience, or it's a simulation experience, or something of that nature. But we can't use the word airsoft for the most part. We can't use the word guns, BBs, grenade, things that would like key people into what the event's about. We can't say it. So it's a lot of word of mouth, a lot of sharing, and when you get people like the Bodacs team who share videos and push things locally and regionally and nationally, some of their contacts, and that's what was going to drive airsoft. You have your huge, like your Walmarts of airsoft, like your e-bikes and stuff. They can help push games and get it to a national audience. But unless you're big enough to go with those people, you depend on your player base to like and share what's going on at your field, at your events.
Hillbilly, you got a game coming up too, right? Big.
Yeah. It's actually going to be the first event of the year. It's called Dead by Dawn. Obviously, I can't use the actual name because I will get a copyright strike just because it's a licensed name. But if you've ever played the game Dead by Daylight, it's similar to that. I'm currently tweaking the rules and stuff right now. I'm going to fix it to where the generators, but actually going to be lanterns, you're going to have to actually unscrew the bottom. You're going to have to actually put the batteries in it and put the bottom back on before you can turn it on. And like I said, I'm tweaking the rules. I'm hoping to have a good turnout. Like I said, it's the first event of the year. And me and Drennon have talked about another event we're trying to hold out there, but that's going to be all dependent on me as far as getting some structure built, which I'm currently doing that too. And that's going to be a zombie survival. I mean, I'm obviously not as big as Jack's field. I've got about 20 acres. So it should work out fairly decent as long as you got buildings and stuff you can defend. And we get the people in here too. Now, I've been promoting mine on Facebook, but it's like Jack said, certain words you can use and certain words you can't use. I mean, I haven't been put in Facebook jail yet for it, but I mean, people are obviously still seeing it. I'm not sure if that's just linked to like people has liked the page or if they've seen it through YouTube. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I plan on trying to do some more events too, which I told Jack, y'all are more than welcome to come up to the event in January. Glad to have you.
Your field is actually one of the fields I've been wanting to go to more than almost any of them we've talked about since we've been doing this, because I've seen it a little bit on YouTube, and I'm just really curious as to how it feels to be out there and play it.
Yeah, I mean, it's open, but it's not. I mean, you've got natural cover for it. I mean, there's barriers and stuff up. And it kind of gives you some flat terrain, some hillside terrain. Now, just depending on the weather, how the field is acting, it's whether or not the hillside terrain will be open. I mean, obviously, I don't want nobody getting hurt. I'm sure like Jack agrees, you don't want nobody getting hurt either on his field. I mean, accidents do happen. I mean, you can't get by that. I mean, you're only seeing parts of the field through view of the run cam or the head mount cam that I run. So, I mean, you actually have to come up here and see it for yourself and get the layout of it. Like I said, it's got a lot of natural vegetation.
With the COVID restrictions, how has it affected the airsoft community, airsoft business in both?
All right. Well, in Virginia, I saw that as of today, we're limited to groups of 25 players or people at any event. This is an okay time for it to happen for me because we're winding down our season. This weekend is our season blowout. There's no regularly scheduled games for North 40 after this weekend. We only rely on the weather. If it's going to be a beautiful day on Saturday or Sunday, I'll post up around Tuesday or Wednesday of the week saying, hey, we're going to do this. Y'all be here. But that's it for the regular scheduled games. But what we're doing this weekend for our big blowout to be compliant is we're having two groups or two events on the field. One group is going to be on the field at all times, and the other group is going to be stationed outside of the pro shop safety area. That way we keep our 25 people separated and apart, and only get BB shooting distance, which should be with the compliance of what's going on. But if you're having an indoor field right now, with the current restrictions of 25 people per gathering, that's a killer. I mean, I couldn't imagine trying to run games like that. Definitely understand. When all this started, my dad was still alive. He had stage 4 cancer. My mother-in-law lives with me. She's got COPD and emphysema and late-stage Alzheimer's. So I don't even want to bring cold in on her. But I understand where it's coming from, but what it does to small businesses is just horrible. So that's what's going on in Virginia. What's going on in West Virginia?
Like you said, if you're trying to run an indoor field, it's about near impossible. I mean, 25 people in an indoor field, you really ain't going to get very good gameplay. I mean, that's just a given. Now, outdoor, as far as West Virginia goes, they're not as strict as following the guidelines and stuff, which I'm in contact with my 911 director here in the county. We're close friends with him. He keeps me kind of updated on it. So far, there hasn't come down nothing because it is an outdoor field. You can have social distancing. He said the only thing that may come down would be face masks, but we can figure that out. We can use smogs for that. That is no big deal. And so in order to stay open and be in compliance, I mean, I'm like Jack, if you've got family members that have underlying health issues, you don't even want to bring a cold in on anybody. And and I hate to bring this up, but I mean, I lost a close friend today. He'd been in Roanoke Memorial Hospital for a month. He passed away today due to complications from COVID. So, I mean, it's out there. So I think, we need to try to follow the guidelines, or they could come down harder on the airsoft community and what it actually has. Now, I haven't got the restrictions that Jack has right now on his field, as far as the 25 people. But until that time comes, I'm going to continue on with normal business and try to stay in compliance and follow what they say. I mean, right now they've stopped any kind of food products being sold at the field unless it's prepackaged, like snack cakes or a can of soda. But see, there for a little while I was selling sandwiches. I made sandwiches at home and sold them right there, but that's done stopped. And anybody that's handling anything, they've got to wear gloves. And when you come out to the field, you bring your gun, you've got to use your gun. You can't use nobody else's. You can't be handling nobody else's guns. And once we get the rental situation out, that's a whole another ball game as far as sanitizing and keeping them clean. Like the face mask, if I use the paintball mask, those have got to be sanitized every 45 minutes. That's coming from my health inspector. So that's really the only restrictions that they got in place for us right now. Now, if something else comes down the pipe, we'll deal with it as time comes on. Hopefully, by this time next year, we ain't never going to get completely rid of COVID, but maybe they'll get a better handle on it as far as everything going on. I mean, it's like our schools. They're still going to school. They're on 2-day schedules. It's really up in the air as far as the restrictions go. I mean, right now I'm not restricted like Jack is. I hope it doesn't come to that, but if it does, we'll cross that bridge when we get there with it.
I just appreciate you guys doing the best you can do to keep Airsoft open during COVID. It's a great thing for the kids in the community. I play with my children. There's a lot of father and dad, father and son teams out there, and something to provide a little bit of recreation during this time. I'm not sure about West Virginia, but here pretty much youth sports have stopped. So getting the kids outside and getting them or keeping them active, I think is important. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, then back to that, what you just said about the sports and stuff, Ace, as far as like James Monroe goes, they've canceled all sports, even JROTC, where you can spread out and do formations and everything. They've canceled all of that. So, like you said, it's good for kids to have something to do. That's mainly the reason why I started my field, give these kids something to do, get them out and behind the TV all the time, get them active, get them interested in something other than video games.
Absolutely.
It's been life-changing for me. I know, because I was 250 pounds when I was in UVA when I first started, and now I'm 238. I'm able to run a little bit and different things. It's a life-changing sport.
Yeah, it's definitely, it helps you lose weight, gets you a little bit healthier.
Yeah.
I've lost weight.
Great excuse to run around like you're 16 again. Shoot your buddies with me
Yeah.
I started, just on my origins of where everything started, I started North 40 because I was tired of driving an hour and a half to play.
Yeah. Like you said, Jack, get out there running around like you're 16 again. Us older fellas, next morning we really feel it. I feel the history.
For my shoulders, picked up right now. My sling from this weekend. But I was just doing that. Unload the car.
Yeah.
I didn't get to play.
There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes too that a lot of people don't realize. Like what you do, Jack. You're out there answering questions, you're registering people, you're getting them to run down the rules and stuff. That takes a lot of time too. You didn't even get to play.
No.
But you do more than what people think.
We it's a PR thing, and it's shaking hands and kissing babies when you could do that. I can't do that now, but there's a large part of the business it's just talking to people and finding out how to turn them on their hobby, their sport. And everybody, or most men, had a time in their life they were going to be a Marine or a soldier, and it may be when they were 12, but everybody's had that, and we can turn Bob the plumber into Bob the Navy SEAL, albeit for just a few hours on the weekend, and that does a lot. And the relationships, because this year I think has been the most father-son. I won't call them teams because a lot of times I can break up and shoot each other, but father and sons coming out to the field or to events to have that camaraderie and time. And like I was telling before, 2 moms came to the event this weekend in Roanoke just to gain some experience. They already had their own guns. They didn't have to do anything. They just registered and went on the field for a couple hours just to know what to expect when they get to other games. But it was a really cool experience this weekend for that. And just because when I started North 40, I was in a call center. Then I went to working as a manager in a video game store. So everybody I went to is, had to have that controller and have to do anything. So when we had a release of like a Call of Duty or Battlefield, I would just fully kit out, minus the guns, of course, because the owners weren't really cool with that, and go to the premiere, midnight release, and sell it to games like, what are you dressed up for? Oh, play a game. Really? What? It's Airsoft. You should come try it sometime.
Yeah.
And owners were cool with that, but just getting that camaraderie for adults, you go out there, you spend all day playing, and then you go have a beverage with your friends. You can stay on opposite teams all day long. I want to get you, son of a gun, and then when the game's over, talk about the game. You go out, you have steak, and you get ready to go home. That's one thing that I've always stressed. I'll give a shout out to my friends in Florida, My Game Productions, who I'm back to Boston. I will drive 12 hours to go play in his games. It's just a one-day game usually. You start around 9 o'clock, end up dark in Florida, and you go home, which for him is like a 1 hour drive down to Orlando. For me, it's 12 hours to come back up to Virginia. But the field is fun. His games are always well thought out. But then, like I said, you go out after the game or during the game when you're on lunch break. And it's like, hey, did you see? I saw that. That guy came through like crazy. And you always have those conversations. And it brings your friendship together. It brings your camaraderie together. It brings the community together. Because if it wasn't for relationships with this, I don't think I'd do it. If I couldn't, call my buddy Cody or Mike down in Florida and say, hey, I need this. Can you help me out with this? Or call Drennon, just down the road in a couple hours. Hey, this is going to happen. I need your input. I need to bounce this idea off of you. I couldn't. North 40 would exist without people I can do that with. And having players that are great that like to come out and experience it and will throw ideas off of me. We came up with a new game mode last round. Michael came up with it. I forget what he called it. I don't know if I can say it online either, if I remember what it was. But anyway, it was a really cool game. Everybody enjoyed it.
Essentially sabotage.
When you have that community, that environment that just feeds itself and thrives, it's a blessing. It's getting to be out there and be part of something besides your 9-to-5 job, right? And you just going back and forth to work every day. That you have another community that's there that you can support, and they're ready to support you too.
That's all good, Dick. And to reiterate what you're saying, me and Joe was talking to one of the guys that's on Moonshiners, and he said it perfect. He goes, I play airsoft so I can stop being a dad for the day. Not literally being a dad, just giving time to, I guess you can say, chill out and just do something fun. And his son plays. They both enjoy it. Like Jack said, it's a lot of father-son stuff out there. And you got to have fun in everything you do. I mean, yeah, you're going to have some issues. That's to be expected. I mean, if you can't have fun, then why do it?
So, Jack, what type of what businesses locally have been supportive of you at North 40?
I'll holler at G2K Games, Brian Lewis, the owner. Even when I needed a weekend off, or I needed this time off, or I needed advice on how to run and get my business to grow, even as my boss, I could just go in his room, his office, and go, hey, I got a question. How do I do this? And he would stop his work on what he was doing for his business to talk to me about mine. And that's been invaluable. I cannot stress enough for the valuable information and love that he showed me and getting me to where I'm at now with North 40. In the beginning, Trinity Airsoft, they were still in business. They were real supportive and worked toward helping me with the field. That was my first year because I had a retail shop. If y'all ain't local, you don't know. Trinity Airsoft was on its way to be the EVAC of the East Coast. And through some interactions and stuff that happened with them and to them, they're no longer in business. My first year in business as North 40 Airsoft Field, I had a retail shop down the road that I could just move everybody to. And all I had to do was worry about taking a ticket and occasionally having some BBs in stock that they gave me or they sold me. The year after I started, they shut down. And I had to take my little, get enough money to pay my insurance every year to an actual retail business that had to make money to pay for itself. And my friends in the community, they helped out with that. My first year, second year, we participated in a Southwest Virginia Business Challenge where we got to interact with some of the movers and shakers of Southwest Virginia in business. From the owner of Pals, which if you don't have a Pals in your neighborhood, I feel sorry for you. It's amazing. Fast food burger joint, it's wonderful. But his business model is really, really cool. It's pushed the community, the local business model Just it's an instant service type thing. He empowers his employees to do just about anything to fix the problems. And he was there. And people in finance was there. Lawyers was there. And it was like a 6-month experience of kind of a class / full immersion into the world of business. And yeah, I could take tickets and make sure I made enough money to pay off the loan I had going on for my insurance. But to learn the ins and outs of businesses from those people whose business it was to know that was invaluable. I can tell that Pathfinders, Sporting Goods, I think is what their tag is, in Norton, owned by Mark Crusoe. He's been great help with me. He's always been supportive and has left a note or sign up in his shop, business cards, whatever, telling people that there is airsoft in this area and always pointing people in my direction to go to get that. And I can't think of anybody else who's been real supportive other than just friends and family. That doesn't sound real great, but I've had a lot of friends and family that were supportive, even if the businesses around have not stepped out as much as they could.
What is the easiest and hardest thing to sell that you've sold as an airsoft at this point right now, or seen on websites to be sold? I'll go with Jack first.
No matter what you got, if you got a Springer pistol, you need BBs. If you have an MTW with $1,000 upgrade on it, you need BBs. So BBs is the easiest thing to sell. The hardest thing to sell, oh goodness,
HPA system.
Cody Collins came out for his first day, and I was sold out of my rental guns. So I handed him my Wolverine Reaper, or no, sorry, not Reaper, Hydra, and sent him out in the field. And he was sold. This is great. I love it. It's like, all right, cool. Here's a regular rental gun. It's electric. He didn't like that as much as he liked the Hydra. So, if you have somebody that can experience an HPA system and have the means to get it, they sell themselves. I mean, it's that much of a difference. With good tactics, the entry-level gun will beat the heck out of the Hydra or the MTW every day of the week. When you get that guy, the kid that listens to some of the other players or knows the actual tactic himself, and they sneak around on somebody, get the drop on somebody with a $1,000 airsoft gun, and they've got my rental that costed them $15 for that day, it's worth a lifetime of stories. They'll tell that story over and over. You'll never get tired of hearing it, because that's the type of thing that makes those communities. Even the guy that got shot with an MTW or whatever, it's gonna go, yeah, that kid got the drop on me. It was pretty damn cool. Selling games, the idea of games, because this, I think, is what I ran into this weekend. If I'm running at the mouth, you'll tell me shut up. Roanoke has had a lot of growth here lately with new customers, new players at the field. They're pushing 80 to 90 every week, and that's with I think, a $15 entry fee. If I'm wrong, John Davis, I apologize. But translating that $15 to, hey, you need to pay $40, $50 for the big game we got coming up in January, $150 to attend. What's going to be different? We play all day at your regular field games. Not really. You play in 20 or 30 minute increments, and you come in set for 15 and your ammo. But you have to be able to sell that or upsell the idea of it's an immersive event. Just like this weekend, you didn't come and play airsoft. You were a hillbilly protecting your shine, or you were a mafia boss that you had to protect your speakeasies and get that shine off them, stay with the rednecks, or you were part of the law enforcement who was there to keep the peace and watch out for anybody else doing their wrong stuff. You weren't just out there pulling trigger time. And to get that mindset from weekend game where you go play, capture the flag, and down pilot for 20, 30 minutes and then reset, to, hey, you want to do this for 10 hours straight, 20 hours straight, 36 hours straight. That's a mindset that's hard to sell until you've experienced it. So, easiest thing to sell is BBs. Hardest thing to sell is bigger games.
Yeah, well, I agree with Jack. Like I said, the easiest thing is BBs. The hardest thing is your higher end guns. But it's like Jack said, you know, if you know the tactics, you can take out somebody using $750,000 gun. I mean, it just depends on if you know the tactics or not, and that's memories that last a lifetime. I mean, it's like this weekend, me and Joe, I mean, I've had the striker too with that Mancraft at the minute. I mean, 300 feet's not a problem. Joe had his SR-25. I mean, the long range shots wasn't a problem for him. But we got attacked, and you know, people were just regular old guns, which that says a lot. That's a memory those people will never forget. Like, we got to jump on them two guys, knowing that they had the best guns out there. I'm not saying we did by no means. I mean, there's all kinds of good guns, but obviously, if you've got a sniper rifle that's 275, 300 feet, is not a problem. That's a pretty high end gun. Feels like Jack said, you know, the other hardest thing is still games. And, you know, I've been to 3 events they've had. I've enjoyed every one of them immensely. But when I went to the settlement, I was like, okay, I like this. You know, it's a good game. But then clinch came up. Okay, well, what's going to be different about clinch than was settlement? I mean, you're going to run into issues. You're going to run into any issues in anything you do. I mean, that's just a given. But clinch was more immersive as far as like military tactics and stuff go. Which, me being ex-military, you know, I was right at home with that. And I played with the guys from the collective down at settlement. But with clinch, I was on Theta's team, which I appreciate y'all inviting me to play on y'all's team for clinch. And this last one we did this past weekend. But I mean, I think if you can sell a game and you can help people understand how is it going to be different from your normal gameplay, and you shouldn't have too many problems with selling and getting people to come. And of course, there's advertising and stuff in there too, which Jack and Drennon do an excellent job at advertising. Every time a new event pops up, I mean, it's right there. Unfortunately, I won't get to make Black Star Crisis. I wish I could, but it won't be this year.
Oh,
because my event's the weekend after Black Star Crisis, so I've kind of got to make sure.
Looking for the Black Star.
if I'm still alive and no broken bones, I'll be at your event.
This is the idea for you guys
What's
in
that?
the future. You guys talking about tactics and all. You know they had those leagues for fantasy or like baseball stuff or fantasy, like not fantasy, but like where guys will go and they'll middle-aged guys will go and they get to play with the pros. You know what I'm talking about? Experiences, personal experiences.
Yeah.
That might be something you guys could do for like a weekend. Is have like an immersion thing where people can come out and get trained by your home teams or your host teams. For Jack, the Bodacs, I don't know if you have something like that, Hillbilly, where you're at. But give somebody experience of not just play this weekend. You're going to kind of learn some of the different flanking maneuvers and stuff like that. Give some of the people who may not have had the benefit of having somebody who's been in law enforcement and military a chance to learn some tactics and all.
I lost my thread. What was the question?
Have you thought about doing
a
camp
he
type
had
thing?
an idea. Mike had an idea that he would do training sessions. And this was based around cons in Florida, Comic Cons and such. But you would spend the day or half a day in class learning the proper techniques to clear a room or even to triage a battlefield incident. And then you would actually get to go in the evening time into a hostile environment where you had to practice those skills that you learned in the class, and then you actually graded on it by combat medics, by somebody that actually trained people professionally how to clear a room or how to do this or how to do that. And he was on the verge of making that happen a couple years ago, but something with the cons insurance stuff wasn't allowed to do that. But I've always wanted to do something similar to that, to have somebody who has the credentials to say, I know how to do X, Y, Z, and I can train you to do it. Because I can clear Rome, but my job's been phone jockeys and selling video games and working with goats. I don't have the credentials to do that. Whereas somebody that's had the training, has had experience in the military or the law enforcement, those guys can do that. I can facilitate the players and those guys meeting, but as far as the training, I don't have the credentials to say that. But I'd love to be able to do something like that. We actually had Drennon up here a couple of times in maybe year 1, year 2, doing training days. We had a pretty good turnout for that. I don't know if a lot of people paid attention to Drennon that day because it's mostly younger players, but we did have a dozen or so show up to learn what Drennon had to say. But as far as having like a training like that, I'd love to do it. If we could get a few professionals set up that would be willing to teach, definitely to set something up like that.
Do you guys think that this might be a golden age of airsoft or a revitalization of it? Because it surely is to me a big thing.
Airsoft, the business side of airsoft, has always been about popping bubbles. It's a very weird analogy, but I first started, I had a core group of about dozen and a half young teens, and they would have friends that played in the backyard, but moms or dads didn't want anybody to say anything, that they let their little Johnny play with guns in the backyard. So you'd have to convince one of the moms in that group or the dads in the group to say, it's okay, it's a real hobby, and grown men, women and children all play this. It's okay to do that. It's okay to come to a commercial field where you specialize and can provide a safe environment. Because it was pulling teeth for a long time. But you get that one mom, one dad in that group. It's like, okay, little Johnny can play. All little Johnny's 5 friends he played with in the backyard, they would come out. And as long as I could keep popping bubbles locally to find new players, it fed everybody in to a point where everybody finally, from that core group, that age group, finally grew up enough to go, like, oh, there's a girl over there. I see y'all later. Bye. They're gone. And I went for a couple of years. It was real hard to even get enough people to show up for a game because I lost that core group early on. And they're the ones that, their friends pulled in and everything else. But I didn't get anybody to replace those guys. So I started pushing now. If you've been in the field, I got a huge box of Nerf guns. And I allowed church groups or younger kids to come up and experience the field, but with Nerf guns. And some of the dealers we have right now, I know Falcon has a Nerf line that shoots the little foam balls out of CO2 powered guns. It's kind of like the old style paintball guns, little shotgun style. You just ratchet and go. But those are kind of going to be the gateway to get the kids or the younger players from video games to Nerf to paintball but airsoft, and go through that progression. So you'll be able to capture some of those players when they come up. Capture may not be a good word, but you want to introduce them to something that's going to be a lifetime of exercise, friendship, fellowship, and good times. And you want to make sure that it is good times. And it's kind of falls back to making sure you have a safe environment with rules that everybody can follow and everybody agrees to follow when they step on the field. That's why we have a safety brief before every game, so we can have an expectation of what's going to happen on the field for safety and on the field for code of conduct. There we go. So that's the real big push for 2021 for North 40 and for Theta, is getting that, not only the safety brief done, but also a player code of conduct put together, so we know what's going to be expected after you get on the field.
I agree with everything that Jack said, but in the long run, it boils down to it. What you put into airsoft is what you're going to get out. if you don't put no effort into running your business or playing the game the proper way, then you're not going to have a good experience. You know, like at my field, when I have new players come out there, especially young ones that have never played before, I'll keep them on my team, just kind of give them pointers and point them in the right direction so to make sure they have a good time. I mean, I don't know if Jack's done this, you know, but if I got like a bunch of younger players out there that's getting lit up, I'll call hits that normally I wouldn't call. Like if it ricochets, I'll be like, okay, you got me. Because I want them to have a good time. I want them to keep coming back. If they come out there to play and they're just getting lit up, they're not having a good time, so they're not going to continue to come back. But if they think they're getting shots and they're killing people, technically, then they're going to be more apt to come back. They're going to be wanting to play more. Then they're going to tell their friends, and their friends are going to tell their friends. And then that builds the community even more. But like I said, you know, if you only put in half effort, you're only going to get half results. Put in full effort, you're going to get full results. It's simple as that. I mean, you can't get no more simpler than that.
Answered a lot of stuff tonight. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get you guys some more players out. I was talking to a guy the other day, and I've been trying to talk to him one-on-one to get him to come out. Not just putting stuff online, but Cody Collins, getting him out, talking to him directly and stuff like that. I talked to a guy the other day. He said, I hear about you and your boy. He said, well, what about you and your daughter? Luckily, just a week before, my daughter had come out and played. She had a blast. And another friend of mine, Savage, his daughter came out and played. So I was like, yeah, there's some girls out there that play. So hopefully we can get some more female players in too. Good to hear about you having the two moms come out over the weekend. And that might be the untapped market. Another 50% of the population is not currently engaged in it. You get a little bit of that in there too. I think it helps you guys out.
Well, Theta events, I've had a few going around in the early years of North 40, but Theta events usually has a higher percentage of female players than any other events I've been to. And that's mostly, we think, because we provide the feeling of a more safer space for everybody. And you want everybody, you know, the 10-year-old come out for the first time, the experienced player, the mom, everybody needs to have equal footing on, you know, being safe, being treated right, and not just being part of the good old boys club. And, oh, you're just that little kid with a Springer rifle. Yeah, you get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. You got to keep that attitude off of your field and out of your other players' heads, because I don't care if you come with a Springer pistol. You know, by all means, you play with that. Here, let me let you borrow my gun, or let me let you do this, so you can have a little more fun with that. And as long as you're trying and you're reaching out, you're making the experience better for everybody involved. That's what we're selling. As far as field owners, we're selling an experience. Because very little in airsoft translates to real world experience if you're trying to do that. Because in airsoft, life is cheap. You get shot, you go back to respawn, you're back in. It don't happen like that way in real world. So you got to get a different mindset as far as that goes, and learn that it's about having fun, about this experience, and about taking Joe the plumber, making Joe the Navy SEAL for the weekend. Because that's the idea we're selling, and we need to make it a safe, fun, repeatable environment as we can.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Jack's saying. If you don't mind, I'd like to touch back on one of the questions beforehand, before we had technical issues with the cameras and the internet and stuff. Talking about the tactics and what Ace was saying, I think it's kind of like team building exercises. And I mean, you build a camaraderie, you get them interested in the sport or hobby, whichever one you want to call it. Now, as far as my field goes, and what I'm doing, I'm currently working with local law enforcement from Monroe County, Greenbrier County, Giles County, probably going to be Mercer County too, and trying to bring some different and West Virginia State Police, of course, and bringing these organizations in together. I've come up with different scenarios for active shooters. like active shooters in schools or active shooters in businesses. Now, we're having a new school built out here where I live, so that's going to close down 2 buildings down in Peterstown, which I'm going to talk to the school board and see if we can use that to help train law enforcement better. The more people you have, then it helps people learn the survivability. I mean, we can teach civilians how to survive possibly something like that ever happens. Lord forbid it ever does, but just that day and time, you know as well as I do, it's a possibility anywhere. And we didn't think it could happen, but it's happening on our back door. And, you know, y'all are from Bodacs and Jack, I mean, if we start doing this training, you're all more welcome to come up. I might use y'all as the active shooter bad guys, or I might actually, I'll incorporate you within the law enforcement too, but we're going to have hostage negotiation. We're going to have crowds. We'll have the fire department there, EMS, police. I mean, it's going to incorporate everything, and it's going to be chaotic. But the main thing in chaos is you got to remain calm. If you don't remain calm, that's when bad things happen, other than what's already going on. So once I get that set up, y'all guys are more than welcome to come up and join in with this training. And I'm going to try to set up some more training as far as that goes too. And if you really want to learn more military tactics, giving a shout out to the guys at the collective. The majority of them guys are ex-military. You got Holiday, which that's his call sign. You got Furno, they're ex-Marines. They know tactics. They know how to move through the woods. So if you really want to learn from them, ask them. Hit them up on Instagram. I'm sure they'll set something up down at Roanoke for you. I believe, if I ain't mistaken, they actually train some together on tactics and moving formation and stuff like that. Which that ultimately makes them a formidable group to play against.
I'm glad you weighed in on that, because that's something I was definitely wanting to hear from you.
No, definitely. You know, I mean, I've got experience. I mean, I've done 20 years in the Army. In my last 5 years was military police, so I had to learn mount training, how to clear rooms, how to deal with psychiatric patients, how to deal with upset crowds and stuff like that. So, I mean, I have a wealth of knowledge too. I mean, I know formations and how to move through woods and all that good stuff. It's just mainly finding people who are interested in it.
We would love to come down there and come up there, down there. I'm not really sure. My geography is terrible, but but I would love to come up there and have training, because I know I can use it.
Well, as far as y'all coming over, it's going to be over there, not up there or down there. It's over there.
What do you got going on next, Hillbilly? You got weekly games going on, or what's your next?
I'm trying to run weekly games. I mean, the young man that you met this weekend, Jack, that's Brandon. He's my field manager, so I had to hire him because the collective wanted me to join their team, but I just couldn't commit the time that they wanted at the time for obviously the training and come down there and playing. But there was a little bit of miscommunication there, and I hired a field manager, so when I'm going to operations or I'm going to Roanoke, somewhere like that, different play, he can keep my field going while I'm down there. But as far as right now, I'm trying to run weekend games. Now, attendance has been low down. It's like I talked to you, Jack. You know, once I get my rentals in there, I think it's going to pick up. I mean, we're a fairly new field. I mean, we've only been open 7 months. But the 7 months that have been open, from a business standpoint, you know, I'm staying to the good. So when I try to do loans and stuff, as long as I'm showing a positive impact as far as my profits and stuff goes, I shouldn't have no problems on the business side of it. But I feel like, you know, once we get the rentals in there, which I'll holler at you a little bit later about that, we got some stuff going on, I think it'll pick up. I mean, I've already got people saying, hey, we'd come out there if you had rentals. We just don't want to spend $200 or $300 on a gun, go out there and play one, realize we don't like it, and they're just out there $300. And, you know, I completely understand that. Yes, my guns are a little bit more expensive, but I enjoy playing it, so I feel that it's worth spending a little bit of extra money on it. Yeah, I see you grinning, Jack. You know why I said that.
Well,
I've been
doing this for years. And, you know, my first gun, I got it. It was brand new. It was plastic early on. and it was good. And upgraded the motor, I think. I've done a little bit to it. But then as that fell apart, I started the business, and I was pushing all my money back into the business. And it's been about 3 years ago, I finally, went from scraping by to having some bigger games thanks to Drennon. And had a really good year. And I was like, I want a Wolverine hydrant. So I got a gun that had been left at the field. We'd upgraded it a little bit, and the guy never came and picked it up. I finally called him. I was like, I want to take your gun for your payment. Do you mind? He's like, nope, that's fine. I quit anyway. I was like, all right, cool. So I just took that gun that I upgraded over to the guys in Wolverine in Kingsport, Tennessee, and said, here, fix it.
Yeah.
And Cody called me about a month or so later. He's like, come see what you got. And it's pretty. It's fun. I mean, it doesn't reach out like y'all's do, but I'm not supposed to. I'm the up close and personal. 29 rounds a second. It'd be okay.
Yeah.
And that was my reward for the good year. It's just fun. It's fun to get out and play with it.
Yeah. And Joe from Sniper Joe Custom, he's not officially a sponsor, but he is kind of sponsored. He's sending me cool guns to do reviews and stuff on. Also, y'all seen the ASO2 that I purchased them from him. But he's let me borrow his SP18 to do a review for him. I think he's going to let me do a review on the SG96. He knows I like novice sniper rifles. But, I mean, it's on what you like.
Joe's good people. It's Joe's Customs, or Sniper Joe Customs, Theta events in North 40 are trying to kind of pull a trifecta as far as teaming up with Airsoft in the region. Joe's knowledge of the guns, fixing them, and just on an engineer type level. And then me with the field, and then Drennon with the ideas. His mind. It works to come up with all these different scenarios and stuff. It's worked out really, really well.
I think y'all done a good job of getting the trifecta going. Sorry, Jack, I didn't mean to step on top.
No,
of
as but we've done that to try to service the community, and that's where you've got to start with this business. If you get into airsoft to make money and to be a businessman, that's not it. If you get in because you're a player, and you want to see the community grow and the sport grow, and good things happen all the way around for business in general, and you're ready to reach out to your friends across the border and help pick them up, reach out a hand. That's what this is about. Because if there's 15 fields within a 100-mile radius, guess what? That's going to be thousands of players that you have access to every weekend. They might not be your players. They may be his players. But they're going to come see me occasionally. And my guys will come see him occasionally.
Yeah.
And that's how it grows up. But there's people in business in general that are like, you can't have any of my pie. My pie's mine. It's like, well, I just want to loan yours and you can have some of mine later on. Oh. So you got to overcome that business style, because a community-based business like Airsoft or video games or anything like that, it's all about the community. It's not about that dollars and cents that changes hands. That's part of it, but it's more about the community and making something bigger than yourself happen.
We've learned a lot from you guys before and after this podcast.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, God bless you for being on this episode.
Let me run through this right quick. Find us on Instagram under Hillbilly Airsoft USA. Same thing underneath YouTube.
We appreciate you for being on, sir.
I'm just on Facebook for the most part. I'm learning some Instagram. We've got a small presence on YouTube. Most of my stuff is what is out there right now. Is what the Bodacs have graciously put out for me. can't thank that group of people enough. It's just been really awesome to work with you. And the only thing I got going on for the rest of the year is we have a blowout this weekend. And then I'm going to have the Black Friday sales up probably till the second week of December. And all that'll be took off the website. And we'll just be cruising into the first of the year. If you've not seen the website, we do have season passes up for next year. 3 different levels. Look at the website for details on that. And I will give a brief overview of the game this weekend. If you've not seen the description, it's great. A Canadian spy satellite has accidentally broadcast as they were eavesdropping on an operative in the United States called Codename Savage. He broadcast his opinion that he didn't like Canadian beer, but preferred American craft beer. Now, they broadcast that across the world, which tanked, destroyed the Canadian economy. So, in retaliation, the Prime Minister of Canada has vowed revenge on this operative, codenamed Savage, and his entire family from Southwest Virginia. So he sent an entire regiment down from Canada to Southwest Virginia to get this guy. Now, they're going to be hooked up at my North base here. They took over the field, and we're going to have to look for 25 Patriots to come here to North Florida this weekend to push them Canucks back up to the north. So that's what's going on this weekend in North Florida. And I appreciate y'all letting me be part of this podcast, and look forward to seeing y'all in the future.
Yeah, God bless you all for being on here. And thank you, Aaron, for being my co-host today. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody for being a part of this podcast. We'll be signing out.